11. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastatya Desatarine Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastatya Desatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Shiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Vasachatradhara Nikate Advaita Srini Vasachatradhara Vasi Ache Gaura Chan Ratna Simhasan Vasi Ache Gaura Chan Ratna Simhasan Vasi Ache Gaura Chan Ratna Simhasan Vasi Ache Gaura Aarati Korena Brahma Adi Deva Gane Aarati Korena Brahma Adi Deva Gane Aarati Korena Brahma Adi Deva Gane Aarati Korena Adi Deva Gane Nara Hari Adi Kori Samara Dulaya Nara Hari Adi Kori Samara Dulaya Nara Hari Adi Kori Samara Dulaya Kori Samara Dulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Koshadikaya Sanjaya Mukunda Koshadikaya Sanjaya Mukunda Sarka Bhaje Ganta Bhaje Bhaje Karatala Krishna
Vishnupad Brahmamsa Prajacharya Ashtotra Sadasi Malesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Jaya Om Vishnupad Brahmamsa Prajacharya Ashtotra Sadasi Malesi Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki रामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासा आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की श्री नवदेव मायापुर धाम की श्री वृंदावन धाम की श्री गंगा माई मनमाई की श्री भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी की अनंत गोविंद नरेंद्र की गौर प्रेमानंदे गौर Premanande, Lord Premanande, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Sri the Prabhupada ki. Vacha kalpatarvesha kripasindhavesha paridhana pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Jala Jala Hiranyakashe Narasimha Vadim Sharanam Prapare. Lakshmi Narasimha Bhagavan ki Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki Srila Prabhupada ki
So, Hare Krishna. My name is Krishna Dulal Das, and I'd like to welcome you all to our Hare Krishna temple here. We're at 212 Somerset Street East, the residence of our beloved Sri Sri Gaura Nitai ki Jaya. So, welcome to all of you. Is there anybody here coming for the first time to the temple? Wow, lots of people coming for the first time. Welcome, welcome. Can somebody tell me, how did you hear of this place?
I got to the internet search.
The internet, okay. Back, there's also internet? Through the internet altogether. Wow, that's great. And what
My
about
daughter informed about this.
your daughter told you about this? How did she know about it?
She stays here.
Last week.
And he came
Oh,
last week.
okay. It's connections going on here. That's great. Good. And yourself, how did you find out?
I went to the park once and they told me about it, but I also saw from Facebook.
Okay, which park? Was it Strathcona Park or the festival that we had over here? The one by the river?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for coming. That's great. Yeah, I don't think it was on. It was just a formality. You just got to hold a microphone. This is how we know that people don't speak at the same time. We just give them a microphone. Old school trick, yeah. So, yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much, all of you, for coming. I'd like to also acknowledge some of our guests online. I think we have some guests online too, so I'm just going to call out their names and say Hare Krishna to them as well. Welcome to Mother Sneh, Hare Krishna. Welcome to Jaya Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Kamalalocham Prabhu, Hare Krishna. I think I even saw him at the temple too. So he's Mother Leela Mohini, Hare Krishna, welcome. Matsu Prabhu, Hare Krishna, welcome. Sunil Prabhu, Hare Krishna. And Mother Sheila, Hare Krishna, welcome. Welcome to all of you. So, for those of you who are kind of new to the temple experience, so what you just witnessed right now was kind of, it was a kirtan. We were having a kirtan. We were saying the Lord's name, and an Aarti was being performed. So there was a tray, and on the tray there was different paraphernalias that were on there, such as incense. We had a fire, diya, we had flour, we had a fan, especially when it gets a little toasty here in the oven. It's nice to fan the Lord as well. So, and Srila Prabhupada is our founder acharya, so you can see there's a murti of him sitting on the side. So this is our teacher, our grandfather, great-grandfather, who brought this movement, this Indian culture from the east to the west here, and is really trying to induce us to take up a personal relationship with the Lord, right? So rather than it being almost like a museum experience where you come and get to see, an artifact in the museum, he was really imploring us to cultivate a personal relationship with the Lord. And we do that through many means. When we're practicing bhakti yoga here, bhakti means devotion or love, and yoga means to connect. So we call this the practice of bhakti yoga. It's actually the topmost form of yoga. And we do this through many means. One is, we can offer different items to the Lord. We can prepare food. We can offer the food to the Lord as well. We can chant. We chant the holy names of the Lord. This Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is a call to the Lord, and it's actually when we chant this name, we're getting the direct association of the Lord through His holy name, through the sound vibration, transcendental sound vibration. And this mantra also that we're chanting, we're repeating it over and over and over again. It's said to be ever fresh. Right? And those who experiences, those advanced in the practice of bhakti yoga, they're just completely immersed in chanting. Some of them can spend 24 hours a day chanting. We have such exalted personality as Narottam Das Thakur, right? So he was chanting the holy name. He's known as the teacher of the holy name. And this prayer, essentially, or this chant that we chant, Mother Lakshmi Moni likes to say sometimes it's like unlocking a combination in a safe. right? It's putting the different names. It's called the Maha Mantra, Great Mantra. Those names are put together and they cleanse our hearts, right? They help us connect with the Lord specifically. And the translation, if we were to translate the essence of this prayer, it's, "Oh Lord, please engage me in your service. Please make me your servant somehow," right? Or another translation that I like is, "Make me a channel of your peace," which is actually a phrase that was coined by St. Francis of Assisi, right? He's saying, "Please make me an instrument of good, a channel of peace." So this next portion of the program, we're going to do a little bit of discussion. We'll probably do a little more singing too. And then afterwards, we'll conclude the evening with more kirtan. Probably starting off maybe sitting down or standing up. If we feel like we want to stretch around and move around, we can do that as well. And then after that, we will have prasadam will be served, which is food that has been offered to the Lord. So we have a vegetarian feast that has been prepared with some devotees today. They came early, and so we can join together and share in prasadam afterwards. So I hope you can join us through the whole thing. We hope to be finished by 5. Right, so that's the goal. And Krshna Seva Prabhu, I wanted to ask you, is there some activities planned for afterwards today? Or Kirtan? Okay, sounds good. So Krshna Seva Prabhu is saying that those of you who are interested in maybe sticking around a little bit longer, some devotees are planning to go out on Harinam. So we'll take some instruments with us, and after we filled our bellies with prasadam, we'll go out and go chanting if the weather's okay. It seems to be cleared up right now. So for those of you who want to have that experience, then we can do that for a little bit afterwards as well. So we'll just start off with chanting Jaya Radha Madhava. And let me get it. Also, before I begin, we're also celebrating a very special day today. So it's yesterday, it so happened that it was the birthday of Radharani. Right? So as we know, you can see it in the back picture. There's a picture on the side wall. It's Krshna and Radha. So this relationship that the two of them have. This is known as the highest form of devotion, the most intense rasa, right? Devotion between Krishna and his devotee. And so we're going to celebrate this a little bit and talk about Radha, right, in connection with Lord Krishna today for a little. And we'll also sing maybe some extra bhajan, which is going to be praising her and her glories. And we can see also how beautiful the deities have been dressed at Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who actually Lord Chaitanya, these deities that we have on the altar, is non-different than Lord Krishna and Radha together. So we can see the devotees dressed them beautifully, got wonderful jewels and ornaments and flower decorations and lots of labor of love. So we thank the devotees so much for doing this wonderful service. Sorry.
Hare
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So I'm just going to set myself up here. Give me a few seconds. Krishna Seva Prabhu is going to entertain you with some jokes in the meantime.
How all of us are going to go for Harinam after the program. I think I'll do that after.
I'm going to just start off with some invocation prayers, some prayers to the Guru, teacher, spiritual master, and then we'll jump right in. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chuksaram Nitamina Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Pachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yatripatagaham Vande Shivaram Dinataranam Namaham Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Niranjana Swami Namane Anahata Parasana Prabhupada Sutiste Sankirtan Kirti Anandamayi Shivurave Namaha Namaham Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Pastatya Satarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. So, on the topic of Radharani, we hear this name a lot, actually more than we think. Because when we're chanting the holy name of the Lord, the Maha Mantra as we know it, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. This word Hare is actually referring to the name of Radharani. Right? It's saying, Hare means, oh, energy of the Lord, right? It's referring to that pleasure potency of the Lord also. Hare Krishna, so on and so forth. And as Prabhupada described it, when devotees were, first getting kind of accustomed and to know the culture a little bit, he tried to explain the difference between Radha and Krishna. And he would say, well, it's kind of like Krishna's hard guy, he's like, he can't really get to Krishna so much. And but he said, but Radharani, she's very soft, right? So if you want something, best to approach Radharani, right? Because she's very soft. She's the soft manifestation of Krishna, of the Lord. And actually, when we see Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, which is non-different, Lord Chaitanya is non-different than Radha and Krishna, and Lord Nityananda is like Balaram, like Krishna and Balaram. And they manifested themselves some 500 years ago, actually, not so long ago, right? Krishna came, about 5,000 years ago on our scale, right, in this yuga, in this age. And then Lord Chaitanya and his associates, they manifested themselves 500 years ago. It's more than 500 years ago now, isn't it? I feel like it's been 500 years ago, like for 30 years. So it's longer than that now. So, and basically, they came in the guise of a devotee, right? Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, to show us how to be able to relish this transcendental relationships that's there between Radha and Krishna, essentially. This mood of separation, right? Because it's said to, when you listen to the stories, right, it's like this intense love affair that was there in the heart of Radharani and Krishna. They couldn't wait. When is the next time that they can see each other, right? And there was the separation. When they were away, they're thinking, oh, just when will I ever get to see Krishna? And it was constant meditation, this kind of thought, these thoughts. And so that Lord Chaitanya very similarly kind of came down in this mood, and he showed us the process by which we can get a glimpse into the spiritual world a little bit, right? And that process is through the practice of bhakti yoga, right? So we have it outlined, Shravanam, Kirtanam. What are the processes? Can you help me? Y'all help me get the process. So what's one of them? Let's see. There's 9 of them. Let's see if we can get them. Team, go. Vishnu. Atmanivedanam, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, friendship. Yeah, very good. Yeah, we got them all. Yay. Go ahead. You can clap. Good job. So this is the process by which we can get there, right? A little bit about Radharani's appearance. So it's her birthday. Although she's eternal, so there's no beginning for Radharani. She may have manifested herself in this kalpa, but she's always been there. She's been eternally always present, just like Krishna, just like the Lord. The two of them are inseparable. And but I'll read a little bit. Again, we talked about on Janmashtami, which was Lord Krishna's appearance day. The reason why the Lord appears, he appears just so we can have something to talk about, and so he can remember him, right? And so that we can make our lives, we can become satisfaction, get a satisfaction of the soul. But so similarly, Radharani, she took birth. And let me just read this pastime here. I had it pull it up. So, our scriptures, the Puranas relate a story concerning the divine appearance of Srimati Radharani as follows. One day, Vrishabhanu Maharaj, who was living at Ravel at that time, am I saying that right? Ravel? Ravel? How do I say that? Ravel? Did I say it? Okay. Okay, Ravel. So, he was living at Ravel at that time. He went to the bank of the Yamuna at around noon to take a midday bath. As he approached the bank of the Yamuna, he saw a golden lotus flower floating on the water and shining brightly like 1,000 suns. Vrishabhanu immediately waded into the river, and when he came near to the golden lotus flower, he beheld the most beautiful and radiant form of a baby girl, lying within the petals of the lotus. At that same moment, Lord Brahma suddenly appeared. So, known as the creator, Lord Brahma appeared, came out in the sky, and speaking in a grave voice, he informed Vrishabhanu that in his previous life, Vrishabhanu and his wife Kirtida had performed great austerities in the order to get the consort of the Lord, Vishnu, as their daughter. Lord Brahma told Vrishabhanu that this girl was the origin of the goddess Lakshmi, and that he should take great care of her. Lord Brahma then placed the baby girl in the arms of Vrishabhanu, who became overjoyed, and after taking permission from Lord Brahma, returned to his home. Seeing the beautiful baby girl shining like millions of autumnal moons, Mother Kirtida was overcome with joy, immediately arranged for all kinds of religious rites to be performed, and donated thousands of cows to the Brahmanas. At that time, baby Radhika was placed in a gem-studded cradle and gently rocked back and forth by all the little girls of the village. Day by day, her luster increased, just like the digits of the moon. Within a short while, it was observed that the baby girl made no noise and had not yet opened her eyes. Vrishabhanu and his wife feared that their baby girl was perhaps blind from birth and also dumb. At that time, Srila Narada Muni visited the home of Vrishabhanu and informed him that regardless of the girl's apparent blindness, they should continue with the birth celebrations. So there's a side story to this. I was talking a little bit about this on, was it Friday, that those of you who have attended Bhagavatam class, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to hear some of those things again. So as it happened during that time, Narada Muni, who's known as the transcendental astronaut or something, he goes, wherever the glories of the Lord are being. Feel it so much, and then he happened to arrive in the household of Vrishabhanu, and he started to feel transcendental bliss. And the way that Mother Lakshmi Muni was saying is that he came to the household and he asked, do you have a daughter that was born? And he was saying, no, not really, maybe a son or something like this, because he was somewhat embarrassed. He knew that, his daughter was blind, right, and maybe, deficient in some ways. And he was saying, well, I'm looking for this special, looking for a girl, right? There's a lot of auspiciousness present around this birth of this girl. And so he happened to find out that actually there was a girl, but she was blind and she was there. And then Narada Muni, as we could see in the story, he said that, okay, we're going to perform some kind of special ritual, right? Because this is really auspicious. And during those few moments before, he was alone in the same room as Radharani, the parents went outside of the room, and during that time, Radharani manifested her transcendental form in front of him, and he was just like blissed out completely. He was manifesting the symptoms of trembling, and it was an ecstasy. And then the parents came back into the room, so he was trying to control himself a little bit. But he was saying, okay, we need to do some kind of a celebration, right? Because this is a very special occasion. And then, as part of the celebration, the different people in Vrindavan, the different villagers were coming by and paying their respects. And at some point, Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj came with Lord Krishna, little Krishna. He was probably about 1 year old at that time. And as the parents were conversing, to the side, Lord Krishna went to the room where Radharani was, and he climbed into the crib. And as soon as he was there in front of her, one narration that I heard is that he actually placed his hands on the eyes of Radharani, and then he took them off, and then she opened her eyes, and she saw Lord Krishna, which was fulfilling her purpose, because her purpose was she had eyes for no one other than Krishna. And so that's how, the two of them, and then the parents came and they saw, wow, these kids, they have a history together. There's going to be some pastimes that are going to be happening. And so this is how, Radharani manifested herself. And so when we hear about Radharani, there's actually, as we know, Krishna is known by having 64 qualities. So, and these are some of his qualities, such as, I won't read them all, I'll just read some of them. Beautiful feature of the entire body. He's extremely pleasing. He's effulgent. He's strong. He's ever youthful. Truthful. Really? He's truthful? Okay. Talks pleasingly. Fluent. Highly learned. Highly intelligent. Genius. Artistic. Extremely clever. Expert. Grateful. Firmly determined. Pure. So on and so forth. And so pull up also Radharani's qualities. I have them here as well. So her 25 qualities is that she is sweetness personified. She is a fresh young girl. Her eyes are always moving. She is always brightly smiling. She possesses all auspicious marks on her body. She can agitate Krishna by the flavor of her person. She is expert in the art of singing. She can speak very nicely and sweetly. She is expert in presenting feminine attractions. She is modest and gentle. She is always very merciful. She is transcendentally cunning. She knows how to dress nicely. She is always shy. She is always respectful. She is always patient. She is very grave. She is enjoyed by Krishna. She is always situated on the highest devotional platform. She is the abode of love of the residents of Gokula. She can give shelter to all kinds of devotees. She is always affectionate to superiors and inferiors. She is always obliged by the dealings of her associates, and she is the greatest amongst Krishna's girlfriends. And 25, she always keeps Krishna under her control, and she is clothed in the two-part silken garment of both sober and non-sober emotional ecstasies. Covered indignation constitutes her braided and ornamented hair, and she is radiant with the tilak of auspicious fortune. The name and glories of Krishna are the delight of her ears. So those are some of her qualities, or 25 qualities. And there's numerous stories, again, to have something to talk about that are there of the pastimes of Krishna and Radharani. There's so many stories of Krishna and his cowherd boyfriends, right? His stories about him stealing butter. That's why I was saying truthful, you know. He was going and causing a ruckus sometimes. But, and so he has so many relationships. The relationships that he had with Mother Yashoda, his mother. You know, we could see one picture. Is it back here? You could see in the back wall there, you know, Mother Yashoda caught him because Balaram, his friends were telling, I saw Krishna eating dirt, right? And she says, no, he doesn't eat dirt. And finally she said, let me see inside of your mouth. So she looked inside of Krishna's mouth and she was completely shocked. She saw the whole cosmos, the whole universe inside her mouth. So he would have these kind of, you know, different interactions, relationships with different personalities. And one such very special personality is Radharani. And there's one story that I was narrating on Friday, which I heard from my Guru Maharaj, Niranjan Maharaj, and he was saying that once, because it was essentially, you know, Radharani was like Lord Krishna's most closest girlfriend, right? It was really his lover, essentially. And at some point, you know, through their youth, you know, when they would meet incognito and whatnot, you know, she was being criticized by some of her company, saying that, you know, actually, Radharani, I don't think you're very chaste. And you know, she voiced this concern to Lord Krishna. She saw him at some point and she said, you know, this is what they're saying about me, you know. What have you done to me, Krishna? And he said, okay, well, let me take care of that, no problem. And so then something like the next day, you know, Lord Krishna was spending time with Mother Yashoda, and suddenly he lost exterior consciousness, like he passed out. And everybody was wondering what's happening. And at the same time, Mother Yashoda also passed out, right? Because she saw, oh my goodness, what's happening to Krishna? So she lost consciousness as well. And all the cowherd boys were there, and they were trying to find, we need to find a doctor. We need to find somebody. Is there a doctor somewhere around here who can cure Krishna? And suddenly it so happened that there was this beautiful doctor that was nearby, and he was quite the handsome doctor. Like, you know, if any of you watch ER, you know, this was nothing compared to that. He was really jubilant, right? Not any mundane doctor. And he was there, and he said, actually, I'm an expert doctor. He knew all the different Ayurvedic, you know, recipes. He could cure anything. He said he could cure anything. And actually, what happened is that this doctor was none other than Krishna himself. That's why he was so beautiful, right? He came around, and he happened to be there at the right place and time nearby, and he said, let me see what I can do. So he came and he saw Krishna was lying there, and he said, I know what needs to be done. We need to find a chaste lady who can come and take, it has to be the most chaste lady. And she needs to go and get a pot that has 1,000 holes in it, and take that pot to the river, and then to the Yamuna, and then bring it back, carry it to Krishna, and bring it, and they could pour it on his head, and that's going to revive him somehow. And so they were looking, who could be this chaste person that could come. And right away, Mother Yasoda regained consciousness, and she heard about it. Oh, chaste woman, no problem. I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to do it. And then the doctor, who is none other than Krishna, actually said, actually, mothers aren't allowed. Because he wanted to also save Mother Yasoda's dignity. He didn't want to put her in an uncomfortable situation. So he said, the mothers of Krishna, are not allowed to be able to do this. So they're trying to find somebody that can do it. And who was it? It was in the end, Krishna's, Radharani's mother-in-law. What was her? Is it Jatiya? Is it Jatiya? Jatila, yeah. So Jatila, so she said, well, I can go do it. I'm definitely chaste. And Maharaj was explaining, because I can tell who's not chaste, therefore I'm chaste, because I could point out all those persons in my company that are not, right, essentially. And so, she tried to do it, and, she couldn't do it. The water was escaping. It wasn't possible. And then there was another, narration, and Maharaj was explaining that a lot of these stories are being told by kind of oral tradition, right? So they've been told, and there's a few versions of it. And one was that there was some hair of Krishna that needed to be kind of formed into a bridge, and it would go into the middle of the Yamuna, and then the proper candidate have to go on the hair bridge and then take the water from the center. And so Jatila tried, and then she fell into the water, and then they had to rescue her, bring her out, and so on and so forth. And then they couldn't find who's this person that's going to be able to revive Krishna. And so they started to ask Krishna. They said, well, to this doctor, right, who is there, do you know, are there any other means that we could do this? And do you know astrology by chance? And the doctor, who is Krishna himself, he said, oh yes, I know exactly astrology. So he started to draw in the sand. He stood with his finger and he said, aha, so the name of the person is Radha. Is there a Radha somewhere here? And then they fetched Radharani, and then Radharani went and she took the pot with the holes in it, and she went into the river, and she started to fill up the pot. And as she filled up the pot, she actually saw the reflection of Krishna inside of the pot. And then Krishna, inside the pot, he took his fingers, he manifested 1,000 fingers, and he started to plug up all the holes, right? So it wouldn't come out. And then eventually she was able to clear her name. Krishna created such a circumstance that she was the right person. She was the one who was the most chaste, the most austere. And so this is one of her qualities, which is being depicted by this story. Does anybody know any other stories that they wanted to maybe share about Radharani that they like? A favorite story? Mother Anandamayi, do you know any good stories? She knows? Oh, you could say it, paraphrase. Really great. Oh, is there a microphone coming? Yeah, microphone is on his way. This is how I trick devotees into giving class for Sunday feast.
Hare Krishna, sorry, I don't remember all the details, but there was a story about how there was a gift that Mother Yashoda wanted to bring for Radharani, because Radharani would come and always cook for Krishna. And so she decided to pack this big, large chest full of different jewelry and clothing and so on. And it happened that Abhimanyu was there, and so she asked Abhimanyu to bring that chest.
And who is Abhimanyu?
Abhimanyu is Radharani's husband.
Okay.
Who is actually a shadow of Krishna. So she filled this chest with so many different gifts and so on. She told Abhimanyu to carry. And somehow or other, Krishna distracted Abhimanyu, And what he did is he took out all the different jewelries and everything because she wanted something that would decorate Radharani. And he said, nobody can really decorate Radharani better than me. So he took out all the jewelry and all the clothing, and he went himself inside the chest. And Abhimanyu actually got to carry that chest, and he was wondering, why is this chest so heavy? And so he carried it all the way to Srimati Radharani. And he said, this is the gift from Mother Yashoda that she has sent to Radharani. And all the gopis got really excited, and they gathered, Radharani, and they started opening the chest. By that time, of course, Jatila and Abhimanyu, he went away. Actually, most of the time, Abhimanyu was really busy just, taking care of the cows. He never really actually was close to Radharani. It says actually he never even touched Radharani. So anyway, he went to take care of the cows, and they opened the chest, and they saw Krishna was there. And there's more to the story, of course, but I don't remember all the details anymore. But the gopis basically then left them.
Thank you so much for sharing, Jai. Thank you. Great. So, we have a story in the back here. Okay, let's hear it. What is your name, Prabhu?
Meet.
Meet. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I don't remember all the details, so forgive me for that. But there is one story regarding the Yasodama and Radharani. So Yashodama wanted to have the delicious meal for the Krishna, and sometimes she used to call Radharani to cook the meal for the Krishna, because the Radharani has the qualities to have the best meal for the Lord Krishna. So one day the Radharani cooked the meal for the Krishna, and Yashodama was so happy that he just applied the turmeric paste on her hand. So basically in the India, if someone wants to marry someone, they used to apply the turmeric paste on the hand. So it is known as pili. So and that moment the Yashodama was the Radharani was very confused, because this means that the Yashodama wanted Krishna to marry Radharani. So at that moment Radharani was very confused. So she ran to Barsana from Gokul, and in the middle there is one Pili Pokhar lake still in the existence. So she dipped her hand in that water, and the whole lake was yellow. So the lake is known as Pili Pokhar, and then she went to the home, because she was very scared that her mother and father will be knowing about this, that Yashodama applied the paste on her hand. I heard this.
Thank you for sharing. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So yeah, there's another story. We're talking about Radha Kund and Krishna Kund, which are the sacred places, right, in Vrindavan. And so it so happened that there was one such story, right, how Krishna created a kund, right, where he could be completely purified, because he just finished killing one of the demons who was a bull, right, and then he wanted to come and touch Radharani. He was with her, and then Radharani told them, "You can't come next to me. You're like the worst killer. You're a cow killer. You just killed a cow, right?" It was a demon. It was a bull, essentially. He was trying to one of Kamsa's employees, right, that was there to try to take Krishna out. And so he was finishing his pastime there. But then she told him, "You have to go into all of the pure bodies of water in the whole world, right, to purify yourself only. You're never going to get to touch me." And so then Krishna manifested, in the kund, right, that all of the bodies of water came there. And then, this is my kund, Krishna was saying. And Radharani said, I'm going to make a kund also. And it's going to be even better than yours, right? And so she was, laboring intensively to try to take water from the Yamuna into the hole, right? To try to be able to do it. And, essentially conquered by her love, right, for Krishna. Krishna also manifested that, all the bodies of water came, holy bodies of water came, and they filled up Radha's kund there, and he was actually saying this kund is even more special, right, than Shama kund, right, Radha kund. And so many people, they do pilgrimage when you walk, right, they come to bathe in the water, they offer prayers, and these are special places. Anybody here ever been to Radha kund or Krishna kund, Shama kund? Yeah, raise your hands. Yeah, a few people have been. So must see, like if we take like a temple trip one day, we'll go. We'll check it out. Yeah. So I just wanted to read something. So this is in connection with this, because there's very many esoteric pastimes like this that would make people think, this is God? This is God having pastime? What is this? This is very strange tradition, you know. He's having loving mellows, dances with women in the middle of the night, you know, and with women who have husbands, and, you know, all of that. It may seem a little bit difficult to understand. And actually, I wanted to quote a couple of words here from Satsvarup Das Goswami. So he's one of the senior disciples of Srila Prabhupada. And he was writing, I'm just going to read a little blurb from this here. He says, knowledge about Srimati Radharani, her relationship with Krishna, her relationships with her Sakis and Gopi Manjaris, is expanded throughout the confidential literatures of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. In recent years, these books are becoming more accessible to English-speaking readers. We are becoming more aware, at least theoretically, that devotion to Srimati Radharani is the topmost expression of Krishna consciousness. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in one of his songs, Srimati Radhika is the teacher of the mellow of conjugal love. The pure love between Radha and Madhava is meant to be discussed and contemplated. But there are many warnings that one should never mistake Srimati Radharani and her affairs with Krishna to be material dealings of a man and a woman. This is a danger in being curious about Srimati Radharani, but not hearing in the proper way. I wanted to therefore impart Prabhupada's presentation of Srimati Radharani and confining myself to whatever I have found in his books and lectures and talks. You will find that although Srila Prabhupada was on the one hand very reserved in speaking about Radharani, he nevertheless imparted to us a sweet and pure understanding of Radharani and the practical means to advance ourselves in her service. And I'm going to quote Prabhupada here. It says here, he remembered, it was on Radharani's appearance day once. Prabhupada's first explanation of Radharani is an unforgettable sutra. Prabhupada said that Srimati Radharani is the best devotee of Krishna because she loves him the most. Prabhupada then explained that Srimati Radharani was interested in the welfare of all devotees and that we could pray to her. He said, you can't go directly to Krishna, but if Krishna's devotee is pleased with you, then he or she will recommend you to Krishna, and Krishna will be obliged to give you his mercy. This is especially true if you get the mercy of Srimati Radharani. Prabhupada put knowledge of Radharani in the very first books that he translated in America, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Krishna book, Nectar of Devotion. In the Nectar of Devotion, under the category of attracting Krishna, the characteristics of pure devotional service, Prabhupada explained the principle of approaching Krishna through Radha. He said, to perform devotional service means to follow in the footsteps of Radharani. And the devotees in Vrindavan put themselves under the care of Radharani in order to achieve perfection in their devotional service. In other words, devotional service is not an activity of the material world. It is directly under the control of Radharani. In Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed that the Mahatmas, or great souls, are under the protection of Daivi Prakriti, the internal energy, which is Radharani. So being directly under the control of the internal potency of Krishna, devotional service attracts even Krishna himself. And he was very careful, Srila Prabhupada, when he was discussing this, because you have to understand, it was like 1966, 1965, what was the predominant mantra? It was love, peace, and happiness, and hippies, right? And recreational drugs, right? Getting high, right? All those things. So Prabhupada knew, the kind of audience that he was dealing with. And as soon as he'd start to say, people would ask him sometimes, who's that girl next to Krishna? They think that's his girlfriend, I have a girlfriend, this is great, And then Prabhupada would say that then they would take this process very cheaply, right? Because they'd start to compare it based on some kind of, material perverted experience that they would have. And so Prabhupada was very adamant. He said, stop this, right? This is not good. And he would induce us to actually follow the process that was given to us by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now I'm going to read a short quote here. This is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, so this is the 4th chapter. No, this is the first book, Adi Lila, but 4th chapter. And here he kind of explains a little bit the embodiment of Radharani and Lord Chaitanya as well. He says, in this chapter, Krishna Das Kaviraj has stressed that the Lord Chaitanya appeared for 3 principal purposes of his own. The first purpose was to relish the position of Srimati Radharani, who is the prime reciprocator of transcendental love of Sri Krishna. Lord Krishna is the reservoir of transcendental loving transactions with Srimati Radharani. The subject of those loving transactions is the Lord himself, and Radharani is the object. Thus the subject, the Lord, wanted to relish the loving mellow in the position of the object, Radharani. The second reason for his appearance was to understand the transcendental mellow of himself. Lord Krishna is all sweetness. Radharani's attraction for Krishna is sublime, and to experience that attraction and understand the transcendental sweetness of himself, he accepted the mentality of Radharani. Third reason that the Lord appeared was to enjoy the bliss tasted by Radharani. The Lord thought that undoubtedly Radharani enjoyed his company, and he enjoyed the company of Radharani. But the exchange of the transcendental mellows between the spiritual couple was more pleasing to Srimati Radharani than to Sri Krishna. Radharani felt more transcendental pleasure in the company of Krishna than he could understand without taking her position. But for Sri Krishna to enjoy in the position of Srimati Radharani was impossible, because that position was completely foreign to him. Krishna is the transcendental male, and Radharani is the transcendental female. Therefore, to know the transcendental pleasure of loving Krishna, Lord Krishna himself appeared as Lord Chaitanya, accepting the emotions and bodily luster of Srimati Radharani. So there's some theology, just to explain, what we have on our altar, who we have on our altar here as well. And again, my Guru Maharaj was explaining that, again, it's a quite high topic, right, to be able to understand. And for us, because the way that we can compare it is to our material experiences that we have. And it's explained in our scripture that these experiences that we have, these material interpretations of love, it's lust, essentially, right? There's love that we see that's on the television set, right? But it's just, all it is sense gratification. It's sex desire. It's trying to exploit another person for our own sense enjoyment, and we think that this is love, right? So this is not the case, right? And explain that these spiritual topics that we're reading about, it's actually it's the reality. This is the true relationship. This is a real love, essentially. And what we experience here is like a reflection. So whatever is high, pretty much in reality, as we can see in a reflection, it's the lowest, right? It's when you see in a reflection, let's say in the river, you see trees there at the very bottom. So for us, that's the case. But however, Guru Prasad Prabhu is saying, but does that mean that we can't talk about Radharani and her pastimes? Absolutely. It's actually recommended that this is the rasas that are happening. This is, we're learning about these wonderful relationships, but it's very important for us to also hear these from the right source, right? So from authoritative scriptures, those who are devoid of this lust, right? Who have a pure heart, essentially. And what I mean by pure heart, whose sincerity is there to essentially please Krishna somehow. It's for the pleasure of Krishna. It's activities for the pleasure of Krishna. So when we hear these things, yes, it's nice for us to hear, or when we try to mimic, sometimes we see devotees, I want to dance like Radha, and like the rasa dance, right? I want to jump into the 10th canto. Not really recommended so much, The thought should always be, how can we think of Krishna's pleasure, right? What can we do to think about doing something for the pleasure of Krishna? Because this is essentially what Radharani, this is essentially what pure devotees do. They're thinking, not how I can enjoy, Krishna for myself. She's not thinking this. She's thinking, how can I please Krishna? And what's even more pleasing to her is she's thinking, how can I make other people please Krishna as well? That would make me so happy when she sees others coming to Krishna and them enjoying having that service and that experience. And so for us, like I was saying at the beginning, the process for us to be able to jump into it and get a glimpse into it is through the process of parampara. right? So parampara means a disciplic succession, right? So we follow what is being outlined in the scriptures. We follow what is being given to us by devotees who are adopting this process purely, right? Srila Prabhupada. And we take up into this process of bhakti yoga, right? Which is shravanam, kirtanam, Vishnu smaranam, hearing, chanting, predominantly hearing. That's where the process starts. We listen first, we hear, and then we start to inquire. We want to know a little bit more, right? Then we chant, then we speak about it. And then we start to be able to get, it's possible for us to get a glimpse into it. And we have our acharyas that can show us. We can see that we have saintly people in our lineage that are tasting it, and that's a proof that it exists, because they've been doing it for decades, generations, right? From Krishna, going from the disciplic succession. So those are just some words that I wanted to kind of share. Let me see if I've missed anything else. Maybe I'll pause here and see if maybe there's some reflections or maybe there's some questions, and we can just discuss. Or some additions, comments. Ready, set, go. Okay. Oh, Mother Karni Janaki. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. One of the quality of Radharani, she can control Krishna, but Krishna left Vrindavan, so how we can explain that she can control him?
Well, she controls him by his love, by her love, essentially.
But he left.
But he came back, right? So again, her relationship is the mood of separation, It's like you have that sometimes. You don't know how good you have it until it goes, right? When somebody leaves, when your lover is gone, and you feel like, oh, I miss him so much, right? And then, you receive letters. My Guru Maharaj was talking about this. It's like a paramour, when somebody goes to the army, right? And is writing, love letters, back and forth. It's part of the rasa, it's part of the relishing. So I think it's a mood of separation. So even though Krishna's maybe not there physically, always present, he's definitely there within the heart. And for us, this is also something that, again, we may not be physically in Vrindavan, right, in that space right now, but Srila Prabhupada was always saying that Vrindavan, the spiritual place, is where Krishna's glories are being discussed. So he said that actually this temple right here, we have an installed, deities of here. It's the Lord present in his personal form. He's here. So this means that this place is like, it's a spiritual realm. You can imagine this is Talavan Forest, right? These marbles, these chairs are transcendental, right? Because this is the house of the Lord. Yes, Mother Anandamayi.
I was just going to say that I just recently happened to listen to this lecture by Varshan Maharaj, and he was explaining how...
Wait for it. It's coming. Yes.
I just happened to actually listen to a lecture of Varshan Maharaj on this topic, and then he was saying something very similar. And he was saying how when Krishna met the gopis at Kurukshetra during the eclipse, because all the residents of Vrindavan, they saw that they have to go to Kurukshetra for the eclipse, but also it's an opportunity to see Krishna. And so when Krishna saw the gopis there, he bowed down to Radharani, with his golden crown was right to her feet, and she was feeling such ecstatic symptoms of separation because he was there, but she could not be with him. So that's the biggest amount of separation. But during that conversation, he said that he told the gopis that he actually never left Vrindavan, and he explained that to them, that I never for a moment left Vrindavan. I was always there. I'm always there. And it says that Krishna who left Vrindavan is Vasudeva Krishna. It's like an expansion of Krishna. But real Krishna is always in Vrindavan. But like you said, in order to facilitate that mood of separation, he becomes unmanifest. But he's always there with them.
Thank you very much. Whoa. Hi. Thank you. Okay, so on that topic, why don't we try to celebrate a little bit this occasion, right? This memory of Radharani, Lord Krishna and Radharani, and we have one one little song that we're going to sing. So we put it up on the screen here, so you could. It's written by Bhaktivinoda. Car top players in the house. Jaya Jaya Radha Krishna Yugala Milana Aarati Karo Elali Tadi Saki Gana Jaya Jaya Radha Krishna Yugala Milana Aarati Karo Jaya Radha Krishna Yugala Milana Aarati Karo Tadi Saki Gana Madana Mohana Rupa Sribhanga Sundara Pitambara Sikhi Puja Sudamanohara Lalita Madhava Vame Vrishabhanu Kanya Sunila Vasana Bodhi Rupe Gune Danya Translation. So, first verse saying, "Glory, glory to the Aarti, Lalita, and the gopis offered to Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. Wearing yellow garments and a charming peacock feather crown, threefold bending, Krishna is more handsome than Kamadev. Dressed in blue garments, her complexion fair, and her virtuous glorious, King Vrishabhanu's daughter is on playful Krishna's left." Is she on the left? Yeah. As you see in the picture, she's on his left side there. Making sure. Okay. Her many ornaments glisten, her splendid face charms Krishna's heart. Vishaka and the other Sakis sing songs in many ragas, with chamaras, the Priya Narmasakis fan the divine couple. Yearning to attain the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha Krishna, Bhakti Vinod floats in happiness at the gopis' feet. So this was written by Bhakti Vinod Thakur, so he's one of our teachers, one of the gurus in our lineage as well. So he's glorifying Sri Radha and Krishna as well. Okay, so we'll do a little more kirtan right now, and then prasadam is going to be served afterwards. So maybe we could do stand up, we can get up. Feel free to come up a little bit closer. Everybody's in the back there, there's space in the front. Akincana Dhan, Prabhu, would you like to lead us in kirtan? You want it like this a little bit? Or? See the what? Yeah.
Before to start, in my head came one very short story about Radharani. Many years ago, actually 5 years ago, 5,000 years ago, one sadhu was crying all his life because he wanted to see Krishna. And it was so hard, so cry, and finally he became blind. And one day he was sitting on the shore of Yamuna and continued crying. At the same time, Radharani with Krishna was walking in Yamuna. And Jaya were so happy. And she laughing, he joking, and suddenly Radharani, she sadhu cried. And she said to Krishna, "Krishna, why he cried? Everybody is so happy, we are happy, and he cried. What do you mean?" You're not supposed to be like that. And Krishna said, maybe he's hungry. Okay. And Radharani said, okay, let's go and tell him something. And Krishna came to Sadhu and said, okay, why are you crying? Maybe you're hungry. I bring you a lot of fruit, so nice, and you'll be happy. He said, go away, I don't want to hear anything about him, something like that. I'm not hungry, I'm very upset. Okay. Krishna come back and he said to Radharani, he doesn't want anything. Radharani said, okay, but something wrong. He continued crying. I tried to come and go to say something. And she came and asked him, Sadhu, why are you crying? Maybe you miss something, maybe you need something. And he said, oh, I don't want to say anything about anything. I don't want to see anything because I'm blind, and go away from me. I don't want to talk to you. But she was stubborn, and she said, Sadhu, I know why you're crying. Your wife left you. And she started laughing. And because Sadhu is not supposed to have a wife. And he said, no, actually I told you a story. I was crying because I wanted to see all my life Krishna, but he never come to show himself. And because of that, I become blind because of crying, and continue crying. And finally, I came here. I don't know, maybe I'm going to do some suicide because I can't live like that anymore. And I don't know if he has some heart, I don't know, but I think instead of heart, he has a stone. Because he's supposed to come, he did not come. Finally, she said, okay, but maybe he comes sometimes. He said, no, I don't believe anymore. He said some girlfriend, I thought she'll be better than him, but he infected her, and she had the same heart like stone. Radharani asked him, what's her name? He said, her name is Radha. Radharani became almost crying and started tears. Oh, I'm not like her. No, I'm better. Finally, she said, okay, you wanted to see Krishna? He said, yes. And she put her lotus palm on his eyes, and when she opened, he see Krishna and Radharani. And after that, he started singing. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Jaya